Hello folks and welcome to F1 Live, your post-race show coming to you live and direct from the paddock here at the Red Bull Ring at the end of the Styrian Grand Prix. Pietro Fittipaldi alongside me. Happy birthday for the other day, mate.
Thank you. I'm getting older, man.
Aren't we all? Every day we're getting older. And before we've even had time to go into the results for today, shall we talk to a racing driver? Let's do that. Lance Stroll. Lance, back in the points. A great run for you today. How was the race?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun out there. Good first lap and yeah, solid race from start to finish. Happy to pick up some points.
Earlier in the weekend, we were talking about the disappointment from France, but overall a good result. And you said if you'd just been able to qualify in the top 10, you could have seen what the car had underneath it. You did that this weekend. Did you discover anything additional about the car in terms of race pace, race performance that you didn't know before?
Not really. It's pretty much the same. I think just starting further up always helps. So yeah, the last couple weekends, Baku, we had a difficult quali there, and then France again with the misfortunes. So this weekend, I think it was just a really good weekend all around from start to finish. From FP1 onwards, the cars felt good, and we've been able to build from there and put it together in qualifying, and then again in the race today. I think we got everything out of it.
And you get to do it all again in a week's time.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Lance. Cheers for coming on. Right, so we have a look at the results. Should we do that for the Grand Prix today? Because we've not even told you that Max Verstappen won today's Styrian Grand Prix. If it hadn't been for that tyre blowout in Baku, it would have been 4 wins in a row for Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton came home second from Valtteri Bottas in third. Sergio Perez narrowly missing out on the podium at the line. Lando Norris came home fifth, then Sainz and Leclerc. What a turnaround in fortunes for the Ferrari drivers, 6th and 7th. Lance Stroll, you just heard from him, in 8th. Fernando Alonso came home 9th, and Yuki Tsunoda, the only point scorer today for AlphaTauri. In 11th place, it was Kimi Räikkönen, then Sebastian Vettel in 12th, Daniel Ricciardo a disappointing 13th, Esteban Ocon frustrated in 14th, then Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher, Nicholas Latifi and Nikita Mazepin, George Russell, the heartbreak kid, and Pierre Gasly not even finishing really more than 1 lap. Lewis Hamilton, the fastest lap of the day, and Pietro, it was a masterclass from Max Verstappen. Really all weekend, it was only free practice 3 that he didn't top, but other than that, has there been anybody that looked like they could have beaten him this weekend?
No, man, and I honestly, before the race, I had the feeling like he was going to win. Before the race weekend too, Red Bull have always been really strong here in Austria at the Red Bull Ring. And why it's important is he wins this weekend, next weekend we're racing at the same track. So for them to pull that gap for the championship, this is extremely important. You're going to go back to the same track next weekend, a track where they dominated here already, yesterday in qualifying, today in the race, and again next week. And it's going to be hard for Mercedes to kind of pull that deficit that they have to Red Bull right now. And I think next weekend is going to be something similar, to be honest. Mercedes
did not have an answer for, I'm not going to say Red Bull, didn't have an answer for Max Verstappen this weekend.
Yeah, they didn't. They tried, but, Lewis actually had a good start, but Max did too. So he was able to defend there, open the lead. After turn 1, Hamilton had a bit of a sideways action, couldn't get a run on the first lap. And then it was kind of just managing the gap. But he had so much pace, Max did, and it was so hard for Hamilton. Just no way that he was going to outpace him and overtake him if something drastic didn't happen, like rain, which I was expecting, and it didn't. Now it's coming.
Now it's coming. Typical. One guy we were talking about all the way through the weekend, and particularly after qualifying, was Lando Norris. Qualified 3rd, came home 5th today. A brilliant drive from him, but ultimately we thought he might play some kind of a role in the strategy, holding up or potentially influencing the strategy for Red Bull and Mercedes. That's how it proved to be. Perez couldn't get past him until lap 11 today, and for me, I think that really made Checo suffer in his strategy.
Yeah, for sure, I agree with you, because then the top 2 guys, Max and Lewis, opened up a very big gap. And then once Sergio was able to pass Lando, once Bottas was able to pass, it was already too big of a gap for them to make a difference to help each other's teammates out. So, yeah, as you oversee here, Checo's pass on Norris, like you said, lap 11, right?
Yeah, it was a great move. It just came too late in the race.
For sure, and then it was hard for them to actually make a difference in the top 2, for the top 2, for their teammates.
And then when he came in, slow pit stop, a little bit of a problem with the gun on the rear left, and then Bottas jumped them in the pits, and ultimately that's what determined their day. They went for the alternate strategy, made the 2-stop, and so nearly made it work. Sergio coming just up to the rear wing of Valtteri Bottas on the line. But here is that pit stop, and just crushing for Sergio. It's not the first time this year he's had pit stop problems. Of course, Baku robbing him of the chance then for what could have been the potential win. It became his win later because of Max's retirement. And then Valtteri coming in, of course, smooth as you like. Absolute clockwork, bang, and that's the difference. As he comes to the end of the pit lane, we're going to see it here, I'm sure. Rises up the hill, and there's Max. There's Valtteri, and that is it. Now, a guy who had qualified fantastically yesterday, got a penalty after qualifying. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the race instead. Yuki back in the points. Congratulations. Is this the kind of consistency that you and I were talking about at the start of the weekend that you needed? No mistakes, just good race, clean weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely, this was a good step compared to last week. And like I said, no mistakes. I think I achieved this week, except 3-grid penalty. But yeah, overall I'm happy. Especially with the team, there was pace was there from the FP1, and just have to put it all together, and in the end get a point, scoring the points. So I'm quite happy.
Now, after qualifying, you said you weren't very confident for the race because the free practice 2 long runs hadn't looked very positive. Did it come better today? Did you get more confidence, get more feel?
Yeah, I talk a lot. I was spending a lot of time with the team yesterday, like almost until like 8 p.m. And I think that works a lot. And in today, I think compared to FP2 was a massive difference. I think we developed the car much better. But I think here it's really difficult to overtake, like with the DRS train. And yeah, that was a bit painful. 3-grid penalty was really painful at the end, but it is what it is. But pace was there, so I think they have to put it all together really properly next week to get a most point.
Great job. Thanks for coming on the show, Yuki. As he says, you know, it's all about putting it together. He needed a clean weekend after the messy one in France. That's massive for a rookie like him, isn't it? Just keeping it kind of calm and getting everything done. And as he says, everything he's learned this weekend, being able to put that into effect for next.
Yeah, for sure it helps, because after having a difficult weekend, if you have another one, you know, it's like a snowball effect. Starts piling up, the pressure starts piling up. So a good weekend like this, you know, gives him confidence, and he's in the same track next week.
It's Lando Norris. Hello.
Norris, hello.
Dude, a great race for you. Those early laps, absolutely punching. Was 5th realistically the best you could have hoped for today, or was there a little...
What does it look like?
Was there a little bit that was like, I could have gone a bit...
No, 5th was the best. I think the end of the race we seemed a bit better on pace when it cooled down and everything. But just lower fuel, you know. I was, 200ths off Hamilton yesterday, 2/10 off pole. And now it feels like I'm 2 seconds a lap off compared to those guys. So it's just when you have all that fuel in, the car's more on the limit. We get away with it in quali, but you get to the race with these temperatures and the tyre deg and the car performance just separates a lot. So yeah, I would love if we could be a bit closer and say, you know, maybe if we did this, we could have been 4th or we could have been 3rd, but they were too far ahead today. So hopefully we can magic something up and be a bit better next week. But yeah, we're a long way behind there, so we've got some work to do.
But you are now, McLaren, it looks like, consistently in that 3rd spot of 5th place for you today. Is this now the expectation going into every weekend, that this is where you should be?
Yeah, I think Ferrari are very close. They struggle in qualifying. Yeah, like yesterday, I mean, they were probably one of the best cars in a lot of the corners. They still suffer a bit in the straights, so I guess we're making the most of that now, but like today they were very fast. With Carlos at the end, I was having to push a lot more, and apparently Charles had an incident and still came back to where he did. So I don't think we can get comfortable at all. I think if they start in a better position, they can be a lot more of a threat for us, especially next week, maybe on the softer tyres. It's going to be even more difficult for us, but yeah, we'll wait and see. I feel disappointed with 5th, but it's still a good achievement for us. So
it's a great result. And tell us, obviously we're coming back here just in a few days to race again, softer tyres. How busy are the next few days going to be for you? Are you touring off into the hills to go swimming in some lakes, or is it just
straight to the golf course?
There's a nice one, actually,
is there?
just up the way.
I mean, I'm sure I've seen a few pictures of salmon.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's gorgeous, just in the valley.
No, we'll have a couple of days off, relaxing. But yeah, we still got to work hard and still try and make as many improvements as possible. And yeah, I don't think next week's going to be quite as straightforward as easy as this weekend. I would love it for it to be, but I don't think it's going to be, so
Cool.
We'll see.
Go concentrate on your swing.
Cheers.
Cheers, Lando. Laura Winter is in the paddock, and Lando was just talking, of course, about the fight with Ferrari. Ferrari had a difficult race in France, but today, strategically, on point, and it looks as if they have got over their problems from France with a brilliant race for both their drivers. And Laura, you are with Mattia Binotto.
Thank you very much, Will. I am indeed with Mattia Binotto. Well, a P6 and a P7 for the Ferrari drivers today. Will, we're saying it seems that you've got over those issues you had in France. Is that the reality? I judge by your face, perhaps not.
No, I think at first France was a different type of circuit, but I think the team worked very hard, so Mao tried to make sure that at least here in Austria we didn't have the same issues. The team worked united, pretty happy to see the pace today. I think we made the right choice in that respect. Obviously, quali yesterday was difficult for us. Starting ahead would have been easier than for the race itself. Obviously, unfortunate, I would say, accident for Charles at the very first lap and first corner. Otherwise, I think it could have been even a better result today. So, at the end, yes, it's what happened in France has been useful for us in terms of lesson learned. And as I said, the team has worked well. So, happy to see today. We know that we could eventually, or perhaps have done even better today as a final result, but we got another opportunity in a week time. We stay focused. Let's see what we may eventually improve for the quali itself.
Absolutely. I was going to say you can bounce straight back in because we're staying here for another week for another race. What have you learned here that you can work on for there?
As I said, I think what the weakness has been the qualifying single lap, and on the single lap there is few things that at least you can do, the way you are managing the tires, the speed on the straights. So I think obviously that now we've got a full weekend, so we'll have the feeders from drivers, all the data, and we'll try something different, no doubt. I think we'll try to improve our qualifying speed, and hopefully, as I said, we have a better position on the grid, which is important.
Thank you, Mattia. Good to see you back in the points this
Thanks.
weekend. Best of luck. Moving
Bye.
on. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Laura and Mattia. Interesting to hear from Mattia there, Pietro. Obviously, they're not going to pretend that this fixes everything from France. They said it was going to be a medium to long-term problem for them. But circuit characteristics, the heat today, and it was hot out there today, playing to their strengths rather than those massively long straights that we had in France and the cooler temperatures that really made them struggle and suffer.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a better weekend for them. And like you said, they had really good race pace. Qualifying wasn't the best. I think that kind of hindered them a little bit in the race because you're starting a little bit more behind. And it seemed like a difficult place to overtake here. And it kind of offset them a little bit to the McLaren with Norris. That's why, even Lando was saying he was having to push harder because Sainz was coming. If you would have started a little bit more ahead, I think it could have been even better for them. They would have been fighting for that top 5 spot. But a really good recovery from Charles as well after that incident.
Yeah, it was.
Finishing 7th after breaking a front wing, having to come in.
Yeah.
Very good recovery.
I mean, that's a huge drive, isn't it? Actually, I'll tell you what, we got an interview with Charles from the pen just earlier. As Pietro said, damaging his front wing, having to pit at the end of the first lap, but coming home strongly in the points. A great race from Charles Leclerc.
It looked like a pretty busy afternoon for you out there. I think you probably overtook more cars than anyone else out there.
Yeah, it's been a crazy afternoon. Obviously, after what happened on lap 1, it was very difficult to recover, but we did an incredible recovery. It's one of my best performances after lap 1 in Formula 1. So on one hand, I'm happy. On the other hand, I'm not, because obviously there was much more than P7 in the car today.
What's your read of that incident with Pierre?
To be honest, I need to rewatch. Obviously, you have a different view every time you watch the images inside the car and outside. So I'll have to check. But obviously, to me, it felt like he moved a little bit to the left, and I moved at the same time to the right to get into his slipstream. And the result made us collide.
I know it wasn't the perfect result, like you said, but on a weekend after France, it must be quite encouraging that you guys showed some good pace around here.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a great race pace today, which was a very good surprise. So yeah, this is good.
And as if by magic, a Ferrari driver appears. Carlos Sainz, man, we spoke Friday night and you said, I'm confident in the race pace. Seems really good. Qualifying might not be so good. And that's how the weekend played out. Are you happy with the race today, especially when you look back just 1 week and what had happened in France?
Yeah, very happy, with
the race pace today. It's been actually a bit surprising also how strong we were with the medium tire. Whenever everyone stopped, better, yeah. When everyone stopped with the soft, I managed to extend the medium a lot, and by staying out, I managed to overcut pretty much the whole midfield. And then when I came out on the hard, I knew I had a chance to go and catch Lando, but unfortunately, I don't think I would ever say this, but I got stuck behind Lewis. He was struggling a bit with tires, and I had much fresher hards, and I couldn't get past, and there we lost the chance to go and catch Lando.
But in comparison to a week ago, the confidence that I can see in you, the happiness that I can see in you, it feels like it's been a much better, not just day, but a better weekend for the whole team.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you see our race pace today, it was completely different to today. We went forwards, for Ricard we went backwards by quite a lot, and we managed to extend tire life, which is something we couldn't do last week. I think it's down to circuit characteristics rather than setup changes that we did on the car. But at least, we know that going into different circuits, our performance will swing. What we need to make sure is that we maximize the circuits that our car is strong and see if we can keep this up next week.
Well, we just spoke to Lando, and he reckons that with the softer tyre, it could come round to you guys next weekend. Would you agree with that?
At the moment, we want the harder tyres possible because our car is harder on tyres. But I don't know what Lando has been drinking after the race. But I don't know. What is clear is that today we would have started a bit further in front. It would have been a really cool battle with Lando. I just started a bit further back and I got myself into that strange situation with Lewis. But encouraging to see.
Nice. Well, listen, enjoy the days off. There's a brilliant golf course just on the way to Knittelfeld. It's gorgeous.
Play tomorrow?
You'll love it.
Tuesday?
It's beautiful. You'll love it. Go, go, go.
See you.
Thanks for coming
Bye.
on, man. Appreciate it. Now, Laura, our intrepid reporter, is back out in the paddock and has caught up with a man who will be incredibly happy. Laura, take it away with the race-winning team principal.
Thanks very much, Will. I am indeed with Christian Horner. He's just said to me, it may have been a little bit boring for you, but for me, they're the very best races. Sum it up for us. What an afternoon.
Well, we gave you all the entertainment last week, so we needed a quiet race. And I think, Max controlled that race beautifully. The whole team did a great job. So to come away with a victory here, the first of 2 home races for us was a phenomenal performance. So great for him, great for the team. Sorry for Checo that we didn't get that pit stop nailed, but then his fight back was fantastic.
You've just spoken to Toto as well, just over our shoulder here. What did you say to him?
We just had a quick conversation about his front left tyre and some of the challenges in the race, but they're going to be back strong next weekend. So for sure we can't underestimate the quality of our opponents.
Max extending his lead in this championship as well. It's not yet won. We're still a long way from Abu Dhabi, of course, but the sensation, the feeling, the momentum for you guys right now must be brilliant.
No, look, we're building some momentum, and we've just got to keep that rolling. It's a long way to go, and it's the most successful period we've had since 2013. But we're only on race, what are we, eight now? So out of 23, it's a long way to go in this championship. So just one day at a time, and the team's doing a great job. Everybody back in the factory in the UK is working tirelessly, and that allows days like today to happen.
And we get to do it all over again next week as well.
I hope so.
In front of fans on home soil.
Yeah, that would be great if we could get the double here. But, first of all, let's enjoy this one this evening, and tomorrow we start focusing on the next one.
How will you celebrate?
I'm going back to the UK tonight, and then coming back again. So
on the plane.
It's busy. It's super busy. We're into the triple headers. So it's a shame to leave such a pretty country, but we'll be back on Thursday.
Thank you so much, Christian. Well done to you.
Thank
Congratulations to Red Bull. Back to you, Will.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome to the world of COVID, where Christian Horner is flying back to the UK to quarantine to celebrate his race victory. How depressing is that? Just. Anyway, here's Sam Collins to talk Ferrari strategy, because having spoken to both Carlos, of course, and heard from Charles, it was a day when Ferrari strategy, and heard from Mattia Binotto as well, a day when Ferrari strategy really needed to work well. And Sam, they played a blinder.
Well, you've stolen all my best lines there, absolutely, Will. They played a fantastic blinder. But what really impressed me was the quick thinking from the Ferrari team. On the opening the opening lap of the race, there was that incident between Charles Leclerc and the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly. And coming up the hill, and you can see there's a tight battle going on. You expect that here. But actually the damage came on, and you just heard Charles talking about it. He moved to get the slipstream, Pierre moved it, and he broke his front wing. At this point, on the Ferrari pit wall, a decision was taken to stick Charles on the hard tyre and go as deep into the race as possible. But at that point, they'd already worked out that they were going to switch later in the race to the medium tyre, only do 36 laps on that hard tyre, then switch to the medium. And then at that point, the Monegasque driver just woke up and put in a stellar drive, overtaking all the way through the field. Actually, it was quite interesting to hear what Carlos Sainz said about the way the Ferrari works. He said it was harder on the tyres. Now, I thought this was actually quite a good example of a car being quite kind to the tyres, particularly when you look at Sainz's strategy. Sainz did 41 laps on the medium tyre, and that opened up the strategic options when he went onto the hard tyre. He had fresher tyres than everybody else around him and worked his way through. And yes, sure enough, he did get held up by Lewis Hamilton towards the end of the race. And you don't expect that, but he did, and that cost him a shot at Lando Norris. But for Ferrari, it's a really good period. It's a good opportunity. So here you go. That's Carlos Sainz going round Hamilton eventually. But at that point, he'd already lost enough time to lose the chance at going after Lando Norris. But Ferrari, for me, played an absolute strategic blinder. So Charles Leclerc was not only the driver of the race for the public, I think Ferrari were the strategic team of the race for me.
It is amazing that Ferrari pulled that strategy off, and as Sam was saying, Pietro, that Lewis Hamilton ultimately, second in the World Championship, second in the race today, was the difference and ultimately held Carlos up and potentially could have left him, fighting Lando over that fifth spot today.
Yeah, for sure. Even Carlos said, the reason why he thinks he couldn't get to Lando was because Lewis was holding him up. Lewis was there on his old tires, different pit sequence, and just wrong timing.
Absolutely. We were just about to start talking about George as the medical helicopter takes off behind us, so that's going to be nice and noisy for a couple of seconds. But we've been talking about all of these guys who've had great days. Brilliant strategic fights, victories, great results. One guy who needed a good result today, and you and the Haas F1 team know how important even 1 point is right now in that battle in the World Championship. George Russell had a great day. However, before we talk more about George, I've just heard that Laura is with Valtteri Bottas. Let's go and hear from our podium finisher, Valtteri Bottas.
Thanks very much. Well, yes, I've just managed to catch Valtteri walking from the media pen. Valtteri back on the podium, a bit more like it. I know it's probably not quite where you want to be, but just sum it up for us.
I think from where I started, it was a good race, and we managed to get in between the Red Bulls, and still a bit of points from Perez. Red Bull is a good thing, but of course without the penalty would have been maybe a bit different race. But I think as a team we need to accept that Red Bull was faster today, and that made the race quite tricky. But I think we did well to get them at the first pit stop, and kind of making use of their mistake with Perez pit stop. So that was really good and reactive from us.
Thanks very much, Valtteri. Good luck next week as well. Well done today.
Cheers.
Back to you, Will.
It seems we can't talk about... Thank you, Laura. It seems we can't, Pietro, talk about Valtteri without seemingly linking to George at the moment. So inextricably linked are their two career sort of curves and trajectories right now. And while Valtteri had a great race to make up for that grid penalty that he got for the spin in the pit lane earlier in the weekend, George, undoubtedly one of the drivers of the day.
Yeah, for sure. He was running the top 10, with a car that struggles. They haven't been in the points, so he was having a great race. Yeah. It was a shame really what happened in the pits. I think I had something similar happen to me in Abu Dhabi. Do you know the issue he had in the pits, George?
So we're going to hear from Sam later. We believe it might be something to do. Well, they said it was power unit, but it might be something to do with the pressures.
Yeah, the air compressor.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had the same issue in Abu Dhabi, where it ends up lengthening your pit stop from 2 to 3 seconds, end up being 8 to 10 seconds because they have to refill the air valve. And I believe that's what they were doing. I'm not sure, but that's what we did in Abu Dhabi, and ended up costing me a lot of time. Sometimes you have to do an extra pit stop. So for sure that cost him a great result.
Yeah.
How long he was going to be able to hold in the top 10, I don't know, but he was doing a pretty good job.
Well, here's the thing. So qualifies P11. He misses out on Q3 by 8 thousandths of a second, then bumped up into the top 10 with Yuki Tsunoda's penalty. And from there on, a couple of retirements on the first lap. Okay, well, Charles falling to the back, retirement for Gasly. He's P8, then he's fighting over P7. He's got the same pace as Alonso. He's absolutely gunning it, looking like he's bolted on for points in a car, as you say, coming into this season, second slowest car on the field. And he's fighting over P7, P8.
The pace is there, dude. It's real. So, and it showed yesterday in qualifying, and it showed again. It proved it today in the race.
Well, let's hear from George Russell now. In the pen earlier, obviously, a more disappointed person here in Austria today, I doubt you will find.
George, you were doing everything right this weekend. Qualifying went so well, even the race was going so well. So what's going through your mind right now?
I'm just gutted for the team, to be honest. You know, they've worked so hard to be in this position over the past 3 years, chasing these points. We never really knew when they would come, and we knew we'd have to have a perfect weekend. And you know, we were in such a great position. You know, P8 on the medium tyre. You know, we would have been able to pounce at the end. I think P7 was probably possible ahead of Alonso, and this 4 or 6 points is massive. You know, it's the difference probably between P8 and P10 in the championship. So we go again next week.
Were you surprised by how quick you were in that early phase? And then what went through your mind when you had that message about converting to plan B?
I wasn't surprised, to be honest, because I know that we've done some really great work recently to improve the car, and I knew the pace on Friday was strong. And I was obviously on the mediums compared to the guys ahead on the soft, so I was driving my heart out, driving as fast as I could to, you know, keep behind a Ferrari, an AlphaTauri, and McLaren. You know, we're not normally in this position, you know, so you know, we should be proud of the job we did. Racing is just brutal.
Can you take a little bit of hope that we're coming back here again next weekend?
Well, yeah, of course. It's obviously different. We have different compound tyres next week, which will play a big part into it all. But you know, we did things perfectly until that point, and you know, repeating that and relying on others to not do things perfectly is not easy. You know, and that's the thing for us. We know that these opportunities don't come every day, and we have to do everything great, and others need to make mistakes for us to capitalise. And today was that day, but this is racing. It's not meant to be easy.
Hard luck, George. Thank you.
A very mature response from George Russell. And Sam Collins, Pietro was talking about it earlier, a similar thing affecting him in Abu Dhabi last year, or was it? Do you know exactly what it was that affected George Russell and ultimately robbed him and Williams potentially of those points today, mate?
Well, I haven't had confirmation from the team or Mercedes high-performance powertrains over what the exact problem was, but I'm pretty certain Pietro's absolutely hit the nail on the head. It was the pneumatic air valve bottle that needed topping up. We used to see this a lot more in Formula One back in the 1990s and early 2000s. Now, Formula One power units have pneumatic valves. They don't have your conventional metal valves on top of the valve that goes into the engine on the valve stem. They have pneumatic valves, and sometimes if you get a little air leak in the valve, you need to top up the bottle, and sometimes it starts leaking out more and more, and you have to keep on coming back to the pits and topping it up. That's why Pietro's pit stops took so long in Abu Dhabi, but also in Bahrain. But that's also why George Russell had to keep on coming back to the pits to have that air valve topped up, and that's the problem that's facing the team. So when George comes into the pits, you can see the mechanic jumping onto the side of the car. He's got that bottle on the back. He almost looks like a fireman with a little tiny hose. He's sticking it into an aperture in the side of the car. It tops up the air valve bottle. The teams have designed the cars around this. They get back underway, but there's also problems elsewhere on the car. And ultimately, they realise that they're losing too much time. The problem's too bad, and they're going to have to retire the car. But there's a crucial side story to this. Now, you probably heard in the race, Lewis Hamilton getting on the radio to his team and being told that the Mercedes car is losing about 0.2 of a second per lap on the straight to the Honda-powered Red Bull. Well, Honda have picked up their performance recently, and one of the reasons for that is they made an improvement on their power unit, which you're allowed to do only for reasons of reliability. The Honda had some reliability issues, this weekend. They improved the car bought in those upgrades, and they unlocked about 14 brake horsepower, I'm told, reducing vibration on the Honda power unit. Well, now Mercedes has had a reliability issue on one of its power units, the one in the back of George Russell's Williams. Will they now be able to go away and introduce a reliability update to their power unit, which could bring with it a whole heap of performance? Well, that's what we heard Lewis Hamilton wants.
Oh, that is interesting, Sam. So, will they now be able to go away and get a reliability update on that engine, as indeed Red Bull were able to do with that Honda engine? We've got that little bit of radio, actually, that I think we can listen to now. So why don't we roll that? Folks at home can hear it. Did the radio play? I didn't hear it. It didn't play. Well, there's some lovely pictures anyway. Beautiful. Tell you what, shall we hear from our top drivers of the day? How about we do that, guys? Or maybe not right now. What we've got instead is Helmut Marko. He's far more important right now. Of course, Helmut Marko standing by with Laura.
Thank you very much, Will. Yes, I don't mean to be rude, Helmut, but you really do smell of champagne, but that's a very good thing at all, isn't it, after a race weekend?
Yes, but I have to say on the podium I didn't have a chance. The drivers were spreading all, I couldn't see and anything, so they had been all over me, but it's a nice thing, and hopefully we do the same, not me on the podium, but another win, because the performance was outstanding. We controlled the whole race, and Max wasn't forced to go to the limit. The tire degradation was better than the one of Mercedes. Next weekend we have softer tires, so I hope that should fit us better. The only sad, Perez lost third place by half a second. I have to say, if our pit stop would have been on the normal speed, it would have been 1-3 optimum. But we are really happy, and thanks to our boss, who made all this possible. He owns this circuit. He gives us the funding to run 2 Formula One teams. And now we have a Dutch driver who is flying. He's not driving, he's flying.
Absolutely. We saw you just off the podium, actually. You were wearing a white shirt that was completely see-through. It was rather a wonderful sight. Did you expect Red Bull to be as quick as they were today and put in that much time over Mercedes and indeed Lewis Hamilton?
No. We expected to be ahead, but not so easy. I mean, in qualifying, when we had been nearly 3 tenths ahead, we thought, yeah. But normally in the race stream, Mercedes is closer, but this time they had far greater tire degradation, and we could just slow down, and we were telling Max 6 seconds, please keep it like that. He didn't. I think in the end it was 10 seconds or so, but easy done without any risk.
Well, thank you very much for your time. We'll let you go and have a shower and get changed. Well done, congratulations. More of the same perhaps next week. Back to you, Will.
Thank you, Helmut, and thank you, Laura. Pietro, we saw Helmut walking back from the podium with that see-through white shirt on.
It was very see-through.
I wouldn't say it's a wonderful sight. Whatever floats your boat, though, Laura, mate. Shall we now hear from our top 2 drivers? Have we got them on tape? Can we do that? Shall we? Let's do it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do that. Roll VT.
Lewis, it looked like you gave absolutely everything out there today, and ultimately the Red Bull was just a bit too fast.
Yeah, they were rapid today. Absolutely gave everything, pushed to the maximum. Just unfortunately, just couldn't answer to any of the lap times that they were put in. They were, all those times they were putting in when he was doing the 8.4s, and just impossible to match them. So really impressive speed. I don't know where they've improved their car, but it's taken a pretty big leap. And whether it's power, naturally they got a new engine in the last race, so that would seem like they've got a little bit from that. But or it's their wing, whatever it may be. But either way, we weren't quick enough today.
So I mean, do you reckon you're going to get a new engine soon?
I wish. I wish. I don't think that's the case though.
What does it feel like to be in a position now where Red Bull have just won 4 races in a row? You don't have the car that that you've had in recent years. How does it make you feel?
I mean, I guess in certain scenarios, you just kind of. I'm still pushing. I'm still giving it everything I've got. It's just not quick enough. So there's only a certain distance, a certain amount that you can extract more out of the car. So we just got to keep our heads down, just keep giving up, keep pushing, and not giving up.
Great stuff. Good luck for the next few days. See you later.
Pietro, it's interesting, isn't it? After a couple of races this year, we've heard Lewis calling into question parts on that Red Bull car. I remember a couple of races ago, he said, I can see its rear wing moving. And then today, or the whole weekend, he's been like, they've got more power than they used to have and all of that. How much of that is mind games? How much of that is he just sort of dropping little things into the press, trying to get a ball rolling?
Yeah, for sure he's trying, because I think he sees that, they're struggling to match the pace of the Red Bull. So they need to try anything to try to, catch up again. Because if not, it's going to be, like I said, Austria race again next weekend. How are they going to close up that gap they have to Red Bull now? I think it's very difficult to do it, under a week. I think, Max has a very high chance of winning the race again. And then they're going to open the gap even more in the championship. Then the pressure's on Mercedes.
Hugely. For the first time, pretty much in the turbo hybrid era, they've never been under this kind of pressure. Red Bull haven't been on this kind of a run since their championship running phase in the early 2010s, when, of course, they won 4 world championships in a row. Let's hear, though, from the man of the moment, the man of the month, indeed, Max Verstappen. As Helmut Marko said just moments ago to Laura Winter on this very show, he's not driving. Get it right, Buxton. He's not driving. He's flying, and that is absolutely an appropriate description. Max Verstappen, championship leader, extends his lead with another brilliant win.
Max, congratulations. This is some run of Formula One.
Yeah, it's very positive. Of course, very happy with that. I mean, to be honest, I also didn't expect it to be like it was today. But clearly, we were looking after our tires quite well this race, so I was very pleased with that. And yeah, I think also then on the second stint with the hard tires, we had just a good consistent pace, like nothing crazy, but we could just manage our tires really well to the end. So yeah, of course, super happy to win again here at home as well.
Well done, mate. Thanks. Yes. Great drive today.
Didn't want to spoil the surprise.
I saw you like, I was like...
Looking ahead to the next race, still same place here. You must be super excited at continuing this on run.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's not going to be, completely the same. People will learn from what they didn't do well this weekend, and of course, we will do the same. I mean, we had a very positive race, but there are of course always things what we can do better. But I definitely expect it to be closer, because normally when you do another weekend, automatically everyone will be a bit closer.
Great, so thank you very much, Max. Congratulations.
He is just on such an even keel. He's so cool right now. He doesn't feel the pressure on him. Every interaction you have with Max, he's more chilled than I've ever seen him, I think.
He's on a roll, man. Like you said, if it wasn't for Baku, it would have been 4 race wins in a row. He's confident. The car's fast. The team's executing. I saw, like pit stops today, 2.0 seconds. I mean, they're just flying. Everything that they're doing, just executing. So we'll see. I think it could be his year.
Well, right now, of course, he is on that roll. He's never had to fight for a full championship season. Lewis knows this only too well. And we're only a third of the way into the year. He's got to maximize these opportunities early, hasn't he?
Yeah, for sure. Every race that the car is fast, that they could be racing for wins, they have to maximize it, because who knows, maybe Mercedes are able to turn it around. They go to different types of tracks that suit them better, and then Hamilton could start picking it back up, get in a rhythm, and end up surpassing him. So when the car is good, you have to execute. That's how you have to win championships.
And that's exactly what he's doing right now. Let's take a look at the championship order at the end of this, the 8th Grand Prix of the 2021 season, because Max Verstappen has, of course, extended his lead now sits on 156 from 138 Lewis Hamilton. Sergio Perez still sits third, now 10 points ahead of Lando Norris, who still sits fourth, ahead of Valtteri Bottas in fifth, who is 12 points behind the McLaren man. Leclerc and Sainz, 6th and 7th, exactly as they were in the Grand Prix today, on 58 and 50 respectively. Then Gasly, who DNF'd, Daniel Ricciardo, who did not score, and Sebastian Vettel in 10th place. Behind them then in P11 in the championship is Fernando Alonso, then Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon, Yuki Tsunoda, Kimi Raikkonen, and Antonio Giovinazzi with 1 point apiece. George Russell, P17. My word, he could have moved himself up into P15 today, possibly with that point scoring. Then it's Mick Schumacher, Nikita Mazepin, Nicholas Latifi down in 20th. In the Constructors' Championship, I think we need a new photograph on the left because Christian Horner should have a big beaming smile rather than just a little grin. He will be very happy. 2-5-2 plays 2-1-2 against Red Bull and Mercedes. McLaren in third, then Ferrari in fourth. And look at that, just 12 points splitting McLaren and Ferrari. Daniel Ricciardo really needs to start scoring some serious points. AlphaTauri are fifth, ahead of Aston Martin in sixth. Then it's Alpine, Alfa Romeo, Williams, of course, and Haas yet to score. And Pietro, as we were saying at the top, it was a masterclass from Max Verstappen all the way through this weekend. From what you've seen here, do you think anybody will be able to touch them in a week's time?
Very difficult. I don't think so. I'm going to bet that if everything runs smoothly, I think Verstappen has next weekend in the bag. He's going to get another win. You know, we were expecting rain. It didn't rain. Rain can change things up, but their car is so good. I think even in the rain, in those conditions, though, you know, they're going to run very well. So.
But the Mercedes, they're close. They are running them close. They have been running them close. You say any slip-ups from Red Bull, Mercedes are going to be right in there.
Oh, yeah, for sure, without a doubt. Mercedes are in there. They're in the window to be able to win races. Obviously, if Red Bull make a mistake. But right now, the dominating force is Red Bull. So the only way I see that happening is, like you said, something happens, Red Bull make a mistake, starts raining in the middle of nowhere, and they're able to get a different strategy, make it work. That's the only way I see Mercedes kind of you know, being on top of Red Bull coming next weekend.
And a wonderful battle between the old foes, McLaren and Ferrari, raging as well. Can George Russell finally get that point in 1 week's time? All of those questions to be answered when we're back here, exactly the same place in just a few days for the Austrian Grand Prix, round 9 of the 2021 Formula One World Championship. My thanks to Pietro, as always, my friend. Thanks for coming on, dude. Of course, to Laura. There she is. Well, you can't see her. She's just off camera over there. Hi, Laura. Thanks very much for everything today, Laura. Our thanks, of course, to Lawrence Barretto in the pen, to Sam Collins back at base, and, of course, for all of you folks for tuning in. We'll see you back here in a couple of days' time for the Austrian Grand Prix. But for now, from all of us, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you later.